Hi, welcome back to 23 Days of Astrology. Today we are here for day 10 with the art of retreating. Now, this is a topic I'm super passionate about, and the reason I tie the art of retreating in with astrology is because astrology is just a tool, and it is a tool that facilitates and helps us along our path of introspection. But alone, astrology is flat. What do we do with the insights that we gain in all things, in therapy or in life experiences? What not just astrology? What do we do with the insights that we've gained? So how do we put them to practice and how do we churn them and what do we do with them? So that's how retreating really ties into astrology for me in the way that I practice and in the way that I live my life. So the word retreat comes from a Latin word which means to pull back, to pull back, to remove ourselves from our daily situation, to create space to reflect on what it is we're doing. Why retreat? Now, there's no right or wrong answer to this question of why would one retreat, but there's many reasons to retreat. One could be, to reset our nervous system, to get outside of the realm of our everyday living, just kind of take a deep breath and do some downward dogs, do some walking around in nature, reset our breath, things like that. Very obvious reasons why we would retreat. There's a lot of other ones though. Why would we retreat? Maybe to step outside of our comfort zones. I think a lot of people are unsure what to expect going on a retreat or unsure what they might meet or what they might find inside of their head or their ideas or the solitude or the community. To One of the reasons to retreat could be to push ourselves and try something new. Now, there are many ways to retreat. We can retreat in solitude, which I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. We can retreat in a community as part of, a group event or a group retreat. And we can also host retreats as astrologers or as life coaches or wellness advocates. Hosting is something that is really important. And the picture that you're looking at is the location of a day-long women's wellness retreat that I hosted last year in 2022. And I will be hosting again in 2020. I'm sorry, I hosted it last year in the spring in 2023, and I will be hosting it again in 2024, February 24th, 2024, under the Virgo full moon. I'm super excited. If you are interested in learning more about my upcoming retreat, you can follow me on Instagram or subscribe to my newsletter at marjoriecottrell.com. But the hosting is something that I'm super passionate about because I find it difficult to find quality events that tie together a lot of the things that I'm interested in. I have been to them, and they do exist, but there's not a lot of them in the area that I live. So I really do enjoy bringing people together and, curating the setting and picking all the things and working as a team and putting together something. And I also thought it would be really appealing for the people that live in my area. The retreat I planned was a one-day retreat, which was really important to me because a lot of people can't just, up and go. There's childcare, sometimes there's travel expenses, and there's all of these, jumping through hoops to make things work out. So I really wanted to bring something to my local area where people could still feel like they were getting away, because I think the setting of a retreat is very important, but they weren't really getting away. They could still be home, by dinner. There was a sleepover option at Honey Hollow Farm, what you're looking at, and there will be again next year if you're interested. So I want to talk about a couple more things here. The picture you're looking at is a picture that I took, and I chose it for this slideshow because when we see a bench or we see a space or even like a chair, like it just invites someone to sit down or consider sitting down and ponder and engage with introspection. And that's what retreating is really all about. Now, of course, there's the typical yoga retreats or writing retreats that many people are familiar with. But if you don't have the time or the expense or the interest in going somewhere and retreating, there's always the option to do so on your own, to create a self-directed retreat. And I've done many of these. I've gone on retreats, but I've also created them for myself, both inside of my home and near my home. And Pilar Gerasimo, who is listed here, she's like I don't know if she's a writer and like a nutrition expert, I would call her. And she has this great, I don't know if it was a podcast or like online workshop where it's called Your Perfect Day. And she curates this experience of building this 1 day retreat. So if you're interested in something like that, some people need guidance to build the structure. You can look to her for some resources for that. I have also, blocked off a couple of days of my calendar and I would plan it ahead of time. This is the yoga video I'm going to do. This is the hike I'm going to do. This is the writing activity that I'm going to do. Here's when I'm going to meditate. So you can map it out. Don't forget to build in time for meals if that's of interest to you. That is something that I do naturally. But I think sometimes people forget that we can build these kind of experiences for ourselves. We don't have to get on a plane or go to some fancy retreat center to engage in these kinds of activities, although they are valuable and they do have a place to do things like that. Renee Trudeau is also one who she is a retreat facilitator and like a wellness coach, and she's written The Mother's Guide to Self-Renewal. She has a lot of great information on her website. She sends a lot of emails too that are short and brief about introspection, encouraging retreats, self-retreats, and retreats that she plans. So if you're interested in learning more about that topic, I recommend you check her out. Franklin Covey also talked a lot about this topic. I don't know if he used the word retreat or not, but he talked a lot about introspection and taking time to carve it out of our daily, regular, structured life and getting clear on our intentions. What are we doing here? What are the big rocks, as he called them, that we want to put in our buckets first to make sure that we have room for them in our life? He had this one activity where you picture yourself at your 80th birthday party and who's there and what are they saying to you and what does it feel like and what are you celebrating? And he really paints the picture of you being at your 80th birthday party to invite you to, drop into that space and think ahead for a minute. What do you want your life to feel like at that point? And are you on track to get there? And how are you going to get there if not, or if so? I think that's an interesting activity that you could build into a self-directed retreat or even just carry with you on a nature walk and helps plant the seeds of intention for what you want your life to feel like when you're in that position. And then lastly, Carl Jung has this quote that I thought I would share. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. That seems like a fitting quote on a chat about retreating. So I would like to leave you with a small bit of homework. Carve out some time for yourself to retreat in a way. This doesn't have to be anything major. You don't even have to go anywhere. You can go to a nature setting if that feels better for you, but maybe it's just an hour inside of a quiet space by yourself. You can bring a warm cup of tea, light a candle, a cup of coffee, and pick a topic or pick a word: joy, forgiveness, solitude, reflection. Choose your own, you can borrow one of them or you can choose your own word to kind of give it a little bit of structure if that's your thing, and build something around that, whether it be a short yoga routine or meditation, writing prompts, laying on the floor and staring at the ceiling, whatever it is, make it your own. And the last thing that I'll recommend is this book called 20-Minute Retreats. If you, maybe you could get this from the library or look up Rachel Harris and find some articles to help you build your retreat. This is exactly what she talks about in this book. She is someone who had facilitated many retreats, and these are brief activities that foster introspection, and they're like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and she goes through different activities. One of the things I really like about this book is in the beginning, she talks about the container of the retreat, specifically when you go to a retreat and then you leave and you come home and everything just feels so different. There's a reintegration period. I bring that up because that's important, whether you are retreating inside of your house or you're going to a retreat. Be gentle with yourself as you leave that space and move back into regular life and regular world. There is a reintegration period that requires, conscious intention of I am now re-entering. I am going to bring with me everything that I have cultivated, but I'm going to be gentle with myself if I feel frustrated that, oh no, I'm right back where I was before I went on the retreat. I kind of practice this when I leave the yoga studio and go home. I treat that as a mini retreat sometimes, and just, it's such a peaceful container. And then I'm back driving on the road and going home. It takes some practice to be gentle with yourself and remind yourself that you're re-entering the world and you can always go back. So I encourage you to do that homework assignment. If you would like more structure, look up some of the resources. Pilar Gerasimo has some, Renee Trudeau, and also this 20-Minute Retreats book. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it and found some valuable, helpful tips. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on day 11. Thank you.